We're at the halfway point in this series. You could argue slightly more than halfway, given it's 3 test matches out of 5. And I know a lot of you fans out there, I've met many of you as well, who are saying, shouldn't it have been 3-0 to India, at least 2-1 to India? But that is what it is. It's England 2-1 with 2 to play. And I'm sure all those thoughts came into your mind in that nerve-wracking last hour at Lord's, when two personalities, very, very different personalities, possessed of two completely different skills, were taking a little single here, a little single there, and trying to whittle it down, and they brought it down to 22. One of those, Mohammed Siraj, carries his emotions with him. He wears his feelings on his sleeve. Never too far from a tear. You know exactly what's going on in his mind. Gives every ball everything he has. With ball in hand, obviously he's much better. But even with bat in hand, there's hardly ever a wicket thrown away. And he just runs in all day. He is, as someone said, an absolute captain's dream. But doesn't get talked about a lot, does he? At the moment, he's the leading wicket taker in the series with 13, and it's amazing. It wasn't to be at Lord's, but he's always around when someone else's big moments are happening. He's around when Bumrah's winning matches, around when Ashwin's scoring 100, he's around when Nitish Reddy's scoring 100, and he always seems to be happier than the person who's produced the big performance. At the other end was someone who was going about his work very, very quietly. You look at Ravindra Jadeja, and it's almost with a start that you say, he's been around 16 years. He almost blends in, doesn't he? He's not very demonstrative. I know that comes out every time he scores a 50 or 100, but that's now more a ritual than anything else. He's just there. You think about spin, and you think about Ravichandran Ashwin, you think about that all-rounder position in the middle, you think of another left-hander, Rishabh Pant, who moved up from number 6 to number 5 and scored all those runs. And Jadeja's been there, but we hardly ever talk about him. And yet, when you look at his numbers, he's scoring his runs at 36.97, almost 37. He's taking his wickets at almost 25. That's a difference of 12 runs between bat and ball. 12 between bat and ball puts you among the very best all-rounders to have played the game. But these numbers just sort of creep up on you. We are not shouting them out from the rooftops. Just to give you an example, and I'm not saying one is better than the other because they bring different skills to the table, but if you look at Ben Stokes' numbers, for example, he is a great captain. He makes things happen. He's in the middle of things. But over a career, look at Ben Stokes' numbers. He scores at 35, and takes wickets at 32. The difference of just 3. Ravindra Jadeja doesn't cause headlines to be written all the time. He's not the kind who says, come look at me, not the PR agent, here's a great Instagram story kind of person. Just goes about doing his job. I get the feeling, though, now that Jadeja is going back to being the player that he was when he started. When he started, he was a batter. He was a batter who bowled. And as his career evolved, as he played on better wickets more suited to him, his bowling seemed to take precedence. And because his bowling took precedence, he kept batting below where he actually could have ended up batting. But his bowling was fantastic on those tracks. I still remember Shane Warne peering very carefully and trying to figure out which one went straight through, which one turned a little. It was a nightmare on tracks that were helping him. But he's not just a cricketer who works where the tracks are helping him. Goes back to Saurashtra, hits 2 or 3 triple hundreds. There's a couple of doubles thrown in there as well. And he's a proper batter. I think in first-class cricket, he bats number 4 or 5. At the lowest, number 5. That kind of player, Jadeja. So I think as he goes ahead in the 2 or 3 years that he's got in him, and I say he's got 2 or 3 years in spite of the fact that he's been around so long because he's just incredibly fit, I see him becoming a regular number 6 for India and a 5th bowler who, when the test matches are in India, then starts to be a more valuable player. It'll be tempting to push him down to 7 because it's when you play in India, the team balance becomes a bit different. But I see Ravindra Jadeja at number 6. Should he have done a little bit more that evening? I was watching it. I was calling the action and I thought, could he have taken a chance somewhere? And then I thought, he's keeping options open. He's taking it deep. He's giving his partners as little batting as possible, even though they seem to believe in themselves a little bit more. But if you look at what Bumrah and Siraj have done in this series so far, would you if you were in Jadeja's position, have actually given them a little bit more batting by playing the big shot when the field was in, for example, from time to time. But yeah, we all look at situations differently. The easiest thing to do when you're looking at a situation is to know what to do. You don't notice the cement between bricks. You look at the bricks, you look at the polish, you look at the finish, and then you look at the adhesives. The adhesives keep all the bright, flashy things together. For 15 years, Jadeja has been the adhesive in the side, and maybe we should talk a little bit more about it. Just in a manner of passing, we might say that in this series, Jadeja has got more runs than Brook, than Duckett, than Root, than Jaiswal. He's doing his job. He's doing his job. Let's leave Jadeja to do his job. What about Mohammed Siraj? I love watching Mohammed Siraj play cricket because I like people who make the most of what they have, who tell the captain in the side, give me what you want, and I'll do that and more. And he'll run in all day. But he won't just run in all day, he'll take wickets too. I mean, when he was very young, he said he had dengue once. 19 years old, when he started playing proper cricket, 19 years old. Now, when that happens, your body is not ready. And yet here he is, at the height of his cricketing career, still running in hard. He's got to be very, very fit. But the thing for me, the thing that defines Mohammed Siraj is the size of his heart. And I think he's very, very much a captain's bowler, a coach's bowler. He's such an emotional person. If I was his coach, I'd constantly have an arm around him, never a kick up his backside, always on his side, always reminding him how good he can be. I think Bharat Arun did that so well, and that's why he calls Arun a farishta, an angel who came into my life. So if you have Siraj in your team, you're constantly geeing him up. You're constantly telling him, you're important. We need you. Emotional people are like that. You get the feeling that the emotion within Siraj suddenly says, "Beta, aaj tum hi karna. Aaj Jassi bhai nahi hai, koi bhi nahi hai, aaj pura tumhare upar hi hai." And then you see Siraj, always 100%, but now running in with more purpose, with more responsibility. I love watching Siraj in that mode. Much like we need to look after Jasprit Bumrah, I think we need to look after Mohammed Siraj too. Because someone runs in and bowls all those overs doesn't mean that they can do it all the time. So going ahead in his career, I'd like India to look at Siraj a little differently. Give him the feeling, the belief, the confidence, the arm round the shoulder that you are India's number 2 seam bowler, come what may. That even in Indian conditions, we will have you around, we'll throw you the new ball, and then just watch him flower. I love watching Siraj, and I love watching Jadeja, and I love watching them for different reasons. And I thought it was just very interesting that the two of them were together in that last moment. What will happen in the last 2 test matches? I think England are favourites in this series. I think they're a little bit on the ascendant. They won the 2 test matches in which Bumrah has played. And as going into the last 2, I just think they've just got a little bit more momentum. There, I use the word momentum. But they've got a little bit more about them. And I'm looking forward, first at Manchester, and then at the Oval with the series alive, for India to come and surprise. We looked me in the eye and said, there we did it.
So thank you for watching and do subscribe to this channel.